So thank you everybody for joining today. So this is Meg Stickle from AIM Fitness Online, and I have a special guest today, Mariette St-Denis, and she's here. And I'm very excited to first introduce her and then ask her some questions and get to know her industry, because she's worked with seniors for a while now and has a lot of amazing things to share in terms of if you're looking to move out of your home and to downsize. So yes, to give you a quick recap, Mariette and I met just less than a year actually, back in this, I guess this summer, last June. And we met because Mariette had put out a post looking to meet other business owners who worked with older adults. And so we ended up meeting. I remember meeting her at Starbucks, and it was just a really quick connection. And I think we only spent about an hour chatting, but we just had the same passion for working with seniors. And I remember just feeling like you were a kindred soul meeting you. So in that quick coffee, we decided, you know what, let's get together a group of business owners who work with seniors. And because that would be really awesome to be able to form a group that meets regularly so that we can get to know more people in our industry. So anyways, a few months later, we decided to do that, and we had our first event, and I think we had about 6 or 7 people show up. And now it's been about 6 or 7 months that we've been running these every month. And we have a really great group of women who are based in Ottawa, who are very passionate about helping seniors and their families. So so Mariette, you're my very first guest. So really excited to chat with you. So so you work with a company called Visavie, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about, like, what does this company do? Who are they? And how did you get introduced to them?
Okay, well, first, thank you very much, Meg, for this initial interview. I'm very excited. And yes, it was a game-changing when I met you last year. I was looking to network, and I started to do a few networking events, but creating our own group was, I think, key in terms of building my relationship in the community for people, like you said, who work with seniors on a daily basis, and really building that relationship is important. So I've been a senior living advisor since December of 2018. I left a career in the federal government working in human resources after 27 years. And I really wanted to find work that was more in line with my professional values and being of help to people. And one of my friends who does this, she's a senior living advisor with Visavie, told me there was an opportunity. And so I submitted an application, went through the interview, etc., and they hired me. But I'm a self-employed consultant. And basically, the company Visavie has been around for about 30 years or so, mostly on the Quebec side, Montreal and Quebec. In Ottawa for about 8 years. There's about 50 counselors across. And they offer a variety of services to seniors and their families. It's a great company to work with. I really, really am pleased to be doing this kind of work. I think I found my calling, if you want to call it that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And so I've been doing that for the last year or so. And throughout this last year, I really have found my passion. You know, this is what I want to do. I don't feel like it's work. So basically what we do is we help seniors or their family find the best retirement homes for them in the private sector. These are not long-term care facilities ran by the city. These are privately owned retirement homes. And we do all the work for them, for the family or their seniors. So rather than them calling everywhere to book a tour or to get more information, it's very time consuming. They can spend 70 hours from beginning before they find a place.
Yeah.
Our job is to know the retirement homes out there, and there are hundreds of possibilities. So we narrow it down to the 2 best options. And we initially meet with the clients. We determine their needs. We determine their lifestyle, what their interests are. Their medical needs are very important. And then also their budget, obviously. And all kinds of other criteria that we look into, and that we, while we're doing this consultation, you know, ideas of options come into my head. And so therefore I can narrow it down. Location is also a criteria. Some people prefer an area of town, while others are open to anywhere in Ottawa. And so we service all of Ottawa and Gatineau as well, both French and English, or even other languages. So we even try to match residents with retirement homes if they have a different community or residents in a different language or different cultures. We can try to match them to, you know, make a better fit for them. So that's basically what we do. We also, we offer these services for free, by the way.
Oh my goodness,
you know,
free. Wow.
It's awesome because we do all the work, and it doesn't cost a dime for our clients. And I don't work for any of the retirement homes. I work for the clients. So, you know, even if a client has a retirement home in mind, it may not be a best fit in my mind. So, you know, I can give them some explanation in terms to why I think maybe they should consider another option. And I make the arrangements for the tours. I contact the retirement homes. I organize the tour, the visits with the family and the senior, and I accompany them to the visit. I take notes so that what is being said and what is being concluded, if there is a lease that's signed, you know, we get a match in terms of what we were looking for. So
that's an amazing service. I'm going to stop you there for a sec, because that's an amazing service that you guys provide. Because I know that, you know, moving is huge. It's a huge transition in someone's life. And especially for a senior who's maybe had like 30, 40, 50 years in one home. Like, I can see this being a very emotionally draining and a huge decision in terms of, you know, they're picking up their life, they're maybe leaving a lot of memories, a lot of, you know, the past. And that's, so that's amazing to have someone who's, you know, like you, a professional who knows the industry, who knows exactly, you know, what's out there. And then you can be there to really handhold them in a sense, to, you know, walk them through, what they need to know. Wow. So this is incredible. Really crazy cool.
And there's also a few things to keep in mind, is that sometimes it's for one person, but sometimes we have couples with different needs, and they do want to move together, or they want to, you know, they now have to choose to live separately. So there's a lot of consideration to take in terms of choosing the right home. And, you know, there's some retirement homes have independent living. So this is like condo style living for seniors. It's like a resort, basically. Call it, you know, there's so many things to do. And then there's assisted living for those who require some care or services, like housekeeping or meals preparation or meals with their rent, or different physical needs that they have, healthcare needs. And then we have some retirement homes that have memory care units, secured memory care units for clients who have dementia or other cognitive issues. And then some of them even offer palliative care. So some people are very much, you know, independent, but think of the future. If there's, you know, an illness that is new and they want to move now while they can and make a choice. And then they want to move to a place that offers that continuum of life so that they don't have to move again, because
Right.
some retirement homes don't have a memory care unit, or you know, so we juggle with that as well. It's not just what you need now, but also what you will need in the future.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I don't think everyone knows this who's watching, but I actually used to work in a retirement residence. That was my first job after university, and I was the recreation manager. And what I saw continually, because I did quite a bit of some of the marketing as well, and I did some of the tours, but what I saw was a lot of very, very stressed out families and very overwhelmed and worried, concerned seniors. And, you know, it was my job to integrate them into life and, you know, keep them busy and active. But yeah, like you say, it's, you know, it's really a necessary service. And I wish I had known about you back then.
Well, you do now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and this is also an opportunity to talk about, for those who are not ready now, but may need some home care. I also can refer them to a company that does home care services. And, you know, until such time as they're ready to move, you know, if they need a nurse or a personal support worker, or a company, you know, companionship. I've had a client recently who hired someone to stay with their elderly father at home overnight because they wanted to sleep, but, you know, they needed help to keep their father company and keep him safe while they were sleeping. So there's a gamut of services that I can also provide for home care services as well. I don't personally provide, but I can refer them to people who do.
Right. And that's a good point, because not everyone is ready to move. But if they can build that relationship with you and reach out and say, you know what, I'm not ready to move yet. I just want to see what's out there. You know, maybe in the next year or two, like that's always good too, right? Yeah. To think ahead of time.
Think ahead of time. And sometimes, especially if it's a couple, they may not ready to separate at this point, or they can't afford to have two people move into a retirement home. So, you know, these are all things to consider when we choose the best retirement home or home care services that they can get to. And I also can link them to public resources as well. To get some additional help. So, and one more thing that we can do, and this is a good gateway into what we've created, Meg, following our new group that we founded called Seniors Wellness and Services. We also launched a Facebook group called Seniors Wellness and Services for seniors and families, where all of us members of this group will be able to post our services that are available to seniors and their families. So check it out. We have, you know, the fitness and health, like you, and we have the senior living advisor, who's myself, and we have an esthetician, we have a real estate agent, we have a decluttering and moving specialist, we have will and estate planning. What else do we have?
Yeah, chiropractor.
Yes, hearing. Mobile optician. We have great services that are available. Most of them are mobile. So
yes, yeah, and all of those are Ottawa based.
Yes.
For anyone who's watching outside of Ottawa, but yeah, I'm sure there's other groups similar to us in other places too.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's great to hear about all the services that you guys provide and just how you fully support the seniors and their families. So I want to move on to another question, because I know it can be really overwhelming to move. And like I've touched on earlier, you know, it can be just very daunting if you think about a big home that needs to be decluttered, if you need to think about, you know, where in the city do I want to live, all of this. So what can seniors do now if they're planning on moving? Or maybe, you know, the families who are watching right now might say, okay, what can I say to mom and dad? And how can we prepare if they're planning to move maybe in the next year or two, that they're not ready right away?
Yeah. Well, similarly to buying a new house or moving to another apartment, it's not a different process. It's all about clients' state of preparedness and readiness. So basically, some clients are just curious at this point to see what's out there, and that's okay too. I can organize some some tours. So if they are just curious, we can still do that. We can go and check it out and see what it's all about. They may not be ready now. They may not be ready in 5 years, but at least they'll know in the back of their mind, oh, okay, that's where I want to go when I'm ready, right? They will have alleviated some of their concerns about moving to a retirement community. Some are psychologically ready, because that's a big thing. They need to be psychologically ready to move. The last thing you want to do is force someone to move out of their home in, in chains, and it's not the scenario at all. We don't want that at all.
No,
we want this transition to be a happy and an adventure that the next part of their life. So and if they are able to make that decision and that choice, the better. Because at some point, if they become ill or unable to make that decision, somebody else would make that decision for them. And, if they can make that decision and those visits, and they can at least inform their family of their choices. And that is key as well for their happiness, because even clients with dementia, if the emotional state's still there, so they will know they're in good hands, or that they've made their decisions themselves, and the family can respect that decision. So it's very key.
Before we move on to something else, I wanted to mention, I physically remember, this was, a number of years ago when I was at the retirement residence. I remember there were 2 women who moved into the building at the very same time, just about in the same week. And one woman, she moved in, and she, exactly like you said, she was so ready. She said, you know what, Meg, I could have waited another year, but I know that this was the time to do it when I have sound mind and I was able to make this decision that it was time to move. And you know what? She adjusted so well into the retirement residence life, and she got to know some people really well. She was, working with me, helping out with the activities and the events, and she was a delight to be around. And then on the other side, contrasting, there was another woman who did not want to leave. Her kids literally had to drag her out of the house. It was a horrible situation. There were a lot of hurt feelings, and it was just very, very tough. But she had a really, really hard time. It took her a few years to actually finally adjust to that life, because it was not her decision. So, so I really have seen those who say, you know what, it may not be easy, it may not be exactly what I want, but I'm deciding to do this because I know it's the best decision for me. I've seen, just night and day, that the integration and feeling more settled and happiness as well.
Yeah. And it's painful to see that when that happens.
Yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is challenging. So, and again, my job is not to put any pressures. I work with the client at their pace and with the family. But at least if something does happen, the client has had a choice and has made a decision, and they resign themselves to say, okay, now's the time.
Yes, and it's very empowering as well. Right?
Yeah.
Like when we're able to make those decisions ourselves, and if a senior is able to say, you know what, this is the residence that feels, the most in alignment for me. It's very empowering. Yeah.
I think another thing to consider to make it an easier transition is to set a timeline. Is to actually, is it an urgent move, or do we have months to plan it? So I think we need to, when I meet with my clients, we determine, okay, what's the time frame? Do you have a house for sale, a condo for sale? Are you downsizing from a big home to a 1-bedroom apartment? There are so many, the time frame that you need to prepare for. So you need to be realistic as well in terms of what you're looking for. But sometimes too late in the process is too far as well, because retirement homes can change as well. They may not have the availability when you're ready. So, sometimes it's like, okay, we'll put you on a waiting list, and then when your name comes up, we'll call you, see if you're ready. And then if you decline, then you're put back at the bottom of the list. And some lists can be 5 to 8 years waiting list.
Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah.
Wow. So yeah, so you don't want to wait too long.
You don't want to wait too long if that's your choice, right? So these are all things to keep in mind.
Yes.
Another important aspect is to involve family members. It's crucial to have the support and their help in order to have a better transition to move. I mean, some family members sometimes are not happy about their parents moving. They don't want to lose the home. They don't want to, to spend the money that they don't want their parents to spend the money on a retirement home. So there's a lot of pressure that comes to the client from the family. So if we can get the family's buy-in that this is the right choice for them, it's their money, it's their future, it's their life, it's their day-to-day life. It's very important to have the family members. So, I can also help with that. I can also meet with the family, have a conversation with the client and their family. And the same thing if the family is ready, but the client is not, I can also help the family with these conversations, this difficult conversation to have with a parent.
Wow. So it's really like you're a mediator, in many
I can do that too.
Or that buffer, I guess you could say, right? You're like that kind of neutral person who can hear both sides and be able to help families when there's a lot of emotions and
occupational hazards. I used to work in human resources, so labor relations issues, staffing issues, all of that. So, those are skills that, they don't kind of leave. You kind of carry them, and they're part of me and who I am. So I'm happy to be able to help in that process. And like I said, there's no rush unless it's an urgent move. I really emphasize the fact that people need to take their time to make a decision. It's an informed decision, and they'll be happy with that decision. So.
Right.
Another aspect, the last one I wanted to say, is that like I said, some people are moving from a home that's fully furnished. They've been there for 30, 40 years. They've had their kids and their grandkids there, and they have an attic and a basement and a storage room and a garage full of stuff.
Oh, wow.
It is time to start eliminating, decluttering, giving away, donating. Clear your home. The sooner you get that done, it's actually very healthy, actually psychologically, to do that process of decluttering and preparing for the move. Keeping your essentials, what you use every day and regularly, yes, no problem, mementos, artwork, all of that are important. Keep those. But everything else, you know what? You have stuff in the attic you've had for 20 years. Why are you hanging on to this stuff, right? We do have some partners with us in our group, but they are specialists in decluttering and even moving. And you can hire them if you can afford. It's a great way to alleviate the stress on the family members as well, because it can be overwhelming for family. There's a lot of disputes about stuff, and it can get quite chaotic. But as soon as you can start to eliminate and purge your homes of unnecessary items, even clothing, just start the process as soon as possible. That is one word of advice I can leave you if you record anything from this conversation, would be to start the work of decluttering. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's huge. And it's true. It can be very freeing when you let go of things and when you clean your place. Yeah. And I've never even owned a home, so I can't imagine decluttering a whole house.
Well, you could come to my house and help me if you want.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much I am a bit of a clutterer, but that's okay. My time will come someday.
That's it.
But these companies can also help in terms of sorting out your stuff. So what's to keep, what's to donate, what's to give to families, or what's to throw away. So these companies are very highly skilled and competent in what they do, and very efficient too. I mean, they come in, And you just need to sit and say what you want to keep and not. So it's not as stressful for the clients. And also they often will offer moving services as well, where come moving day, they can actually come over, pack everything, move everything over to your new place, and even set it up and unpack for you in your new home.
Wow.
And they try to match your arrangement. You know,
so it looks
similar
familiar
to what you had.
Yes, yeah, that's amazing. Because you don't always hear about that kind of service. Usually the moving service, they carry up in the boxes and they dump them, and then it's up to you. And that can be overwhelming as well.
Yeah.
So, wow, yeah, that's an amazing service.
Yeah.
And
so,
actually,
and lastly, for this point, for the transition, normally when we do visit, we do, you know, get a copy of the menu, get a copy of the activity calendar that they have. And those clients who have internet access, or if their family members have internet access, I encourage them to often go and check out their chosen retirement home where they're going to move, and read their newsletter and see some photos of the activities, and kind of immerse themselves slowly before they move in, so that they get a feel of, you know, oh, this is where I'm going. It's like it's like planning a trip and you're going to a resort in somewhere in the Caribbean. You go check out their website, you read the reviews, you kind of get a sense of excitement. So that can help as well.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a great tip. I wouldn't have thought of that at all. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I did want to ask as well, what problems have you seen, and how can families ensure that the process of moving goes as smoothly as possible? I'm sure you've seen some things over the past while.
Well, yeah, like we just talked about, you know, having too much stuff to move. Some suites are very small compared to what they're used to. Even going from a 2-bedroom to a studio can be overwhelming. So, you know, the idea would be, the biggest problem would be that they've got way too much stuff. That's the number one problem I think is in terms of the move and the transition. That's the biggest one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but, you know, involving the family is key for a successful move. You should also, the client should make a list of everyone that needs to be notified. And don't wait until the last minute. As bills come in, as letters come in from your different service providers, is you make a list, and those will need to be notified of a change of address. And I have here handy, Canada Post, they publish these kind of postcards, and you just need to fill out. They're free. You can pick them up at any post station, Canada Post station, and they're called move announcement cards. So you just need to fill them out, and I normally give them to my clients so they can just fill them out and send them out. And that way, when the move happens, people have been informed. Also, since retirement homes offer, you know, most of them will offer internet, telephone, cable, other utilities. Some of these service providers that you are getting at home, you won't need to continue those services. So you need to plan to cancel those services at home, so that you don't pay extra for, you know, a 2-month cancellation fee that you would need to pay. So those are things to prepare so that it's a smoother exit.
Yes, yeah. So it's really, I'd say one of the keys that you keep sharing is being prepared and planning ahead of time, and really knowing, okay, when is it that I'm going to move? And then that way you can almost reverse engineer and plan what needs to be done.
Plan backwards, yes.
Yes, yeah. Okay, that's awesome.
Even changing, you know, your insurance, your home phone, and everything else. Like, these are all things that are, as they come in, you make your change of address, or you note when to cancel the services. And it, you know, sometimes if you want to cancel, you know, with your cable, you could be on the line for 3 hours on the phone waiting for someone to call. So, you know, it can be very frustrating. So the sooner you do it, the better.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's really great. Great tips.
So also to pack your things strategically. So, you know, pack your let's say your out of season clothing first, and sort them out as you pack them. Whatever you haven't worn in 5 years, chances are you're not going to wear it again. So, but pack those seasonal items, your Christmas tree decorations and all of that. You can pack those first, and then keep your usual day-to-day things handy, so that at the last minute, the last day of moving day, you can just plop them in a box, and then even a family member can bring the box over to your new home.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Just talking about this, I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
It's funny. I enjoy thinking about moving, or, even it's almost like you say, kind of going on a trip, going to a resort. And nowadays the retirement residences are beautiful. Oh my goodness. They have beautiful amenities, and the decor is gorgeous. Yeah. It's a very nice environment. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So I think I've got one more question for you is, what kind of myths about seniors residences are out there? And this is kind of a good timing with this question after saying, from my experience in working at a retirement residence, I know that, they're beautiful, they're decorated nicely, but I know that there were a lot of seniors who moved in when I was working there who said, oh, I was expecting something very different. And, they almost had it in their mind of it being some kind of a prison or, just a dark, dank area. So what are some of those myths that you've heard of?
There's a few, but the one that comes to mind is that retirement homes are for old people. Seniors don't see themselves as seniors or old people.
No.
It's a matter of perception, self esteem, the way that what they believe. I have an aunt who's 90 years old. She's very active. She probably acts like a 25-year-old, while others are, my age, and they act like they're 90 years old. So the average age now, I would think between 80 and 85 years old, because, life expectancy is higher with medical and technical assistance now. People can live a lot longer. So, you have people that are 55 years old in independent living, and over 100 years old in some homes, and they're still living independently.
Wow.
So it's irregardless of age, it's the person's lifestyle and their mobility, or, so there's a misconception that a retirement home is like a nursing home, long-term care facility where everybody is in bed all day, and that is not the case at all. You have a gamut of clients, yes, because, some have memory care issues, some have assisted living where they're immobile, so they need to have, a two-person to put them in a wheelchair and bring them for their meals and stuff. But there's a misconception about everybody's on the same body abilities, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, and that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I remember when I was studying gerontology at Ottawa U, and we talked about how people have 3 types of ages. And one is your physical age. So physically, how have you aged over your lifespan? Another one was your mental age. And that's where we may feel like we're 25 our whole years, right? Both my grandmas were like that. They were very mentally very young and very vibrant all throughout their lives till they passed away. And then there's your chronological age, which is, the number that you see when you celebrate your birthday. But and I remember there was a test that you could do, and we did this in that class to find out, does everything line up? And it was pretty interesting to think about, okay, who are the people who I know, and is their physical or mental age younger than their chronological age? And often it is the case.
It is the case, yeah.
Yeah, pretty fun.
One of the things to do when I try to plan or when I organize a tour is also based on my clients' interests. When we look at the activity, some retirement homes will actually invite them to come and participate. So, to an activity, so that they get to meet some people there. They would get to meet with the residents, and they might actually, this, I could fit in here,
Yes.
So, that's also another idea. There's no limit. We can try.
Yes.
It's the same thing for meals. One of the concerns that clients have is that food is like kind of hospital food. I don't want to discriminate here, but that it's not tasty. But most retirement home have, a menu, and a diversified menu. They can accommodate the menu for the residents' special
dietary requests,
dietary needs, and they really try to diversify their meals. And some have it's like a restaurant. You go down to, it's not a cafeteria like a school or a hospital. You go down, it's a dining table where, you have silver real plates. It's not paper plates and plastic utensils. So, they try to make it as homey as possible.
Yes.
And some of the food, I've heard some places the food is not so good. Some other place they rave about their food. So it really depends on the chef and the recipes. But the residents have a word to say in terms of, okay, enough of pasta. We want something else. So,
yes.
They can influence. Residents can influence. Most retirement homes have a resident council, so they can actually get involved and make some changes as well. So
that's right. Oh, that's awesome. That's really great.
Another myth that comes to mind is that seniors are afraid that they're going to lose their independence when they move. And you've alluded to that earlier. This is not a prison. Some retirement homes is fully independent living. Like it's like an apartment building with only seniors in it. So, you don't have kids running around at 2:00 in the morning or babies crying. It's only for seniors. It's secured. Some residents still travel every year. They go to Florida. They have a condo there. They go and travel. Some play golf regularly. Some do volunteering work, or actually work for pay if they can. There's no stopping. It's like living in an apartment on your own. You're free to do and come as you please. And actually, some people have become more independent because they're less dependent on their family members to take them out and to go see a show or take them out to the shopping, because they now offer those services in the retirement home. So they become more independent. So,
right.
It's a misconception.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Because I know a lot of people, as they get older, is they want to maintain that independence. And I see that. I'd say that's the number one reason people come to me as a personal trainer, because they want to continue living that life that they're used to. So so if they can do that and still have their car and, you know, go and do their outings and see their friends who don't live there, then there is that independence they can maintain.
Yeah. And I find that some retirement homes, there's like a little village. And then some of people, they don't even need a car anymore because they don't need to go anywhere. Everything is available on site. So, you know, they have swimming pools, they have gyms, they have the restaurant, they have a store, a pharmacy, some have a bowling alley, a golf simulator, a cinema.
Wow.
You don't need to go out. They even have shuttles to go and take you to go get your groceries and come back, or even for your appointments, they offer shuttle rides to go to your medical appointments. So you may not even need to keep your car anymore. It might be cheaper to Uber to your daughter or your sons for a visit than it would be to keep a car. So anyway, something to keep in mind. And I find that some people had lost some of their interests and hobbies for the sake that they were isolated at home. They didn't know who to call to do, you know, go do photography or an educational session. And but being in a home where they organize some of the activities, they've regained some independence. They've regained some of those interests and their hobbies that they used to do. So it's good for their health. for sure.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mental health and being able to connect with people. Because it's true. If you were isolated in your home and just, not really seeing many neighbors, then all of a sudden you have people who are kind of at the same age and stage and wanting to do things.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. So another myth would be that there's nothing to do but to sit in my room and watch TV.
No.
That's completely wrong. No, no, no. There's so much to do. I visited some homes and I was like, I told my son, okay, if something happens to me or when I'm ready to go, that's where I want to go, because they have everything, right? It's like going to a resort. It's like all inclusive.
Yeah,
it's worry-free life.
Hmm.
And independent living doesn't mean because you're in a retirement home that you are actually not allowed to do anything. You're free to go as you please. Yeah, it's like your home. Another myth was that they wouldn't be allowed to go visit or receive guests in their home.
Okay.
That's their home. They can have guests as often as they want. They can even have overnight guests. If they have the room in their apartment for an overnight guest, a pull-out couch or an extra bedroom, they can have guests over. Their grandkids can stay. They can eat, an extra cost for someone to come and visit, but you can have people over for dinner. They have family rooms so that you can reserve and have a family dinner. The swimming pool, your grandkids can come and you can use the facilities as much as you want, as long as you're there
right.
with them, with your guests. It's not a hotel. And some retirement homes will even have fully furnished suites. So if you have family coming in from out of town who need a place to stay, they could stay with you and they can rent for a very reasonable fee. They can rent a room there in your home. So, these are myths that are scary for people. Even if it's one time a year, your daughter comes in from out of town, she could stay with you in your own room or rent a room separately. So
yeah, I remember seeing that when I was working at the retirement residence. There was one woman who was a resident there, and her daughter came from Australia about every 6 months. And the staff, we loved her. We got to know her, and she got to know us. And it was just, it was really nice. She stayed there for usually a week or two. Yeah. And it was so positive. She would join in on the activities. So I got to know her well. So I think it's amazing that, there's really the possibilities are endless. Yeah. And it's just about knowing that these services are available and, to the extent that things have changed a lot over the years too.
Yes, it has.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Do you have any more myths, or is that it?
Well, there's so many others, but those are probably the ones that come to mind at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we could be talking about this forever.
Oh, we could. Oh my goodness, I know. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Mariette. Thank you so much for sharing. So if people are saying, you know what, I do have a loved one who's in Ottawa, what's the next best step for me? So are they to get in touch with you? What do the next steps look like?
I do have a Facebook page, Mariette St-Denis Visavie. And I do have if you go on the Visavie website, you can find me there as well. There's an email, or my email address. Can I give it to you?
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll put all the links below, so that way people, so we'll keep it simple that way. So so anyone who's watching,
my phone number and email, and I mean, like I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I work from home at my own pace. My clients become my family, and so I do stay in touch with the clients that I've helped and have moved, and I do stay in touch with those clients who are not ready yet. So I try to, continue that relationship over time. And I treat my clients the way I would treat my own parents. So, I take it very at heart.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, well, you get a sense of that just talking with you, and I saw this, many months ago when I first met you, is I know that you're so passionate about what you do and you genuinely really care. So, so thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you, Meg.
Really insightful. I've learned a lot, and it's kind of brought me back to my retirement working days as well. But yeah, really, really great information that you shared. And I think it'll be helpful for a lot of seniors who are thinking about moving and their families as well.
Yeah, so and they can also reach us at the our new group, as I've said again, it's Seniors Wellness and
Mm.
Services for Seniors and Family.
Yes. Yeah. We'll also put those links down below too.
As well.
So
Perfect.
yeah. So definitely, we encourage family members and seniors to join that group too.
Excellent.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Mariette.
Thank you.
All right.
For having me. Have a good day, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.